Hello, friends, and welcome to the Cinemondo podcast with Kathy, Mark, and Burk, talking about movies, sometimes trailers. We got a big epic trailer coming up.
That's right.
One of those big ones from the Marvel company. If you guys have heard of that, they make movies about people that have superpowers.
Marvel and DC are keeping the industry alive.
Yeah,
pretty much.
And they're doing good, I think.
Yes,
and I love
for sure. And they keep coming. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And I love the new kind of sensibility they're bringing to some of these. I like them. Maybe I'm just leaning more into Marvel than DC because I like it with a wink. I like them now that they're bringing sort of the self-referential kind of wink and humor. I'm really enjoying superhero.
All the way back to comic books, Marvel.
Yeah, but when you think about
a little bit of a
Dark Knight, it's kind of not so much.
Well, DC has always been sort of,
they're more serious,
dark, serious. The stories are heavier. They just have a heaviness to them. Well, Marvel can have stuff, but there's always, like you said, there's a wink. It's lighter. There's a little bit more of a good time, but that doesn't sacrifice the great storytelling and the characters. It's just a different. And when I grew up, I was a Marvel guy. I was not a DC guy at all. I was all Marvel.
Oh, that's funny.
And movie-wise, I like them both, but Marvel seems to have, I don't know, there's more of a populist feel or something to them that make it more accessible. I think DC films and comics were different.
Yeah,
there's always much more Marvel. To me, the DC characters were too godlike and perfect, and the Marvel characters were messed up. I remember, Tony Stark was an alcoholic, and Peter Parker was sort of a nerdy teenager. It was maybe even nerdier than I was at that age, and it was like the way they talked, and also the way that you were sort of engaged in the Marvel comics with the creators of the Marvel comics. It gave you a little bit of insight into the people. Stan Lee and his little, his little introductions to the stories is like, hold on to your seats, Marvelites. This story is going to blow your hat off,
Yeah.
And the way he talked was so funny, and the way they introduced their artists, they made a big deal out of Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko. It was like Jack King Kirby, and their letters section would talk about the artists, and you really got into the process in the Marvel comics.
I think too, I like Marvel because I was never a big comic books person, and graphic novels. So when I started seeing these superhero movies, a lot of them I feel like were a little bit isolating, and off-putting because I feel like you already had to have so much knowledge and background to really appreciate the story. So yeah, you could watch the origin stories like Spider-Man and Batman or whatever, but when it came to like the Marvel movies overall, I think when they started bringing in the big entertainment and humor and the Deadpool, and they started getting a little raunchier and a little funnier, that to me, it felt a lot more welcoming. I feel like I didn't have to be an expert to enjoy his movies.
Right.
And so that's what I liked about it, is I could just enjoy it for sheer entertainment because the actors were great. I think Taika Waititi has brought so much of the sensibility, the smart humor to it. We get it that you probably don't understand some of these references, but that's okay. I like that.
Well, it makes you want to go into it a little bit. And the thing with the character that we're going to see the trailer, Thor, I remember when the Marvel films started, they, the new era of Marvel films that started with the first Iron Man film, it was grounded in a kind of reality. It was tweaked, of course, because, the guy who builds but, you can believe that he was a genius. There are geniuses. And he builds this Metal Man suit and he escapes from the terrorists and he flies away. It was so cool.
It was.
And then he has all this money and he builds a suit. It was still grounded in reality. And I remember thinking, when Nick Fury shows up and he talks about the Avengers Initiative, I remember thinking, oh, they're going to have to eventually bring Thor into this. And Thor in the comic books was a god from Asgard. Like, how are you going to do that? How are you going to break that reality of Tony Stark? And Captain America even was grounded in a kind of reality. And, Hawkeye and all those other characters, Black Widow, they were grounded in reality. But then Thor comes in, and Kenneth Branagh, he directed the first one, and it was so well done. It was, and what I have to say is entirely responsible for selling the idea of Thor is Chris Hemsworth.
Oh my God, he's perfect.
His performance,
buy it. Perfect for this. I mean, I can't imagine it. It's one of those things like nobody else can do this.
Nobody
Nobody
could have been Thor.
No,
Yeah.
he's just
he sells
super.
it. He's got the gravitas and the way he delivers those lines. You know, you're like, okay, I believe him.
And physically,
and he's got
he's got the he's just got
my
the
God,
he's
super
godlike.
just-
And of course, he's gone through. His character doesn't exactly, go through the greatest.
Right.
He's got some issues. You know, if you
I
see,
love that.
He's
That's what's
got
so
issues.
funny.
That's what you love about him.
Yeah.
yeah.
All right,
He's
let's
kinda
take a look
dumb
at
in
this
some
trailer.
ways. You know, he's not the smartest guy in the world.
That's what's so funny
sometimes.
about it. They all kind of make fun of him,
Yeah.
even though he's a god.
So
Yeah.
what's this one called? It's just called Thor.
Thor, Love and Thunder.
Marvel Studios Thor, Love and Thunder.
Okay, let's check it out.
Kids, get your popcorn now. Let me tell you the story of the space Viking, Thor Odinson. He was no ordinary man. He was a god. After saving planet Earth for the 500th time, Thor set off on a new journey. Well, he got in shape. He went from dad bod to god bod. And after all that, he reclaimed his title as the one and only Thor. Oh, spoke too soon. Jane?
And yes, this happens in the comic book.
The old ex-girlfriend.
What's it been like? 3, 4 years?
8 years, 7 months, and 6 days, give or take.
Am I sensing feelings?
Well, you're right.
The only ones who gods care about is themselves.
So this is my vow.
All gods will die.
I just want to say that was very, very impressive what you did back there.
He's just my first bad guy.
You never forget your first.
You are not like the other gods of kill.
Because I have something worth fighting for.
Let's see who you are. I take off your disguise. And flick.
Oh, you flipped too hard, damn it!
Shall we help him? And eventually, grape.
You can't flick too hard. That was perfect. Perfect flicking. I think that was.
You flick too hard, damn it.
I love the little blur because that's instantly where my eye went. Because the blur was there. You notice it moving.
Yeah. It's that looks fun. I mean, obviously it's got a lot going for it. I like the Guns N' Roses the music inflection in there, so it has that 80s vibe for sure.
Yeah.
So Christian Bale, is that Christian Bale?
is
Holy
the
shit,
God
he
Butcher.
looked
Yeah.
crazy. I love
Yeah.
that. The makeup was great.
And Natalie Portman is really cut. She beefed up for
God.
this. It looks really like
That's hard to do.
yeah.
That's really good.
But
She looked
evidently
great.
she's taking over the mantle of Thor. And she's going to become Thor.
I want Chris Hemsworth. I don't want.
I know.
No.
They can both be Thor. And
I also think it's funny they let him have his Australian accent.
it's sort
Thor.
of a stagey British Shakespearean accent.
I was getting
think.
Australian out of it.
Oh.
There is an
'Cause
accent
he is
there,
from
yeah.
Australia.
Yeah, he's Australian
So is it?
originally.
But I thought
Yeah.
he was doing kind of like the Shakespearean, the god.
He was in the godly ones, but when he's kind of being a goofball, it's pure Australian. Like, especially when he's like, "Woo." Like,
He's
he did that
broken
look-
in the last movie, and he's got a beer belly. I think he's going full.
I love that.
I think he's got a Foster's. He's he's drinking.
So
Goes
funny.
from dad bod to god bod.
Oh, spoke too soon.
Yeah.
That was very cute. I love that. I love the little wraparound. That was funny.
It's great to have that sense of humor in it, and so
Yeah.
you have to bring the sense of humor because, as you said, Asgard, Thor. How are you going to do that?
Yeah.
And sort of you keep a straight face. You really
And
can't.
have him exist in the same reality as some
Yeah.
of the other Marvel characters, which are
Right.
very serious. You've got people like the Black Panther and Hawkeye and stuff
Yeah.
who are so grounded in
Mhm.
well, not Black Panther is kind of a little bit out there too.
But like Daredevil, even though he's not in
Yeah.
the movie,
Serious.
that kind of world is very serious, grounded stuff.
And
Yeah.
Thor's always sort of been the comic relief in a way. Like when he's been in the movies, they kind of play it off that. You know, he's always that to me was sort of almost the center of the humor, was them reacting to him all the time.
The
But yeah.
extreme nature of
Yes.
what he is has always been kind of funny. Yeah.
Mhm.
It's a great choice, but the actual comics weren't really that funny. I mean, Thor was a god in
Yeah.
those comics.
This
and
is a new slant.
yeah. So
Yeah.
it's
The comics were very different. They
Yeah.
really did a good job of kind of reinventing what Thor is
exactly.
for the
Yeah.
movies. Because
Yeah.
in the comics, it was a little bit of a awkward story. He was a human who finds
a stick.
a stick in a cave, and he
Yeah.
hits this, and he's got
Bruce
some
Banner. Yeah,
sort
Bruce
of
Banner.
a-
What's his name? Bruce Banner? No, that's
no, it was another one of those
Yeah.
alliterative
Yeah.
names.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Yeah,
Well, I
but
started like really looking forward to anything Taika Waititi does, because
Yeah.
he always brings this really smart humor that isn't like overly like contrived. Somehow it always feels very character based. It's sort of an unexpected kind of humor that I like, and I think it's why What We Do in the Shadows also has that sort of just really character based humor that you just love seeing the characters, and when you did something
Yeah.
funny, it doesn't feel like, oh, there's the gag. It just feels like those are those characters,
Right.
which
He
is so
doesn't
great.
demean the character.
No,
of
he
Thor.
doesn't.
No.
He loves the
Thor
characters.
is still this gigantic, larger than life hero.
He's a
that
big
you-
jock, big dumb.
But he's a very powerful guy.
Super
But then
powerful.
there's these scenes in it that kind of make fun of that power.
I love that.
Which is so funny. Like, I love when he pulls off his cape and throws it, and it lands right in somebody's face. It's like
It was really funny.
it's
That was very
goofy,
cute.
but it's like, he is this larger than life character. What do you do with a character like that? It's a you give him life, and that's what they've done in this film. And I think Taika Waititi, great director, writer, and all that. But I think I really go back to Chris Hemsworth's the commitment to the character. Some people can kind of make fun of the idea of a character like Thor, but he takes it and owns it and brings Thor to life in a way that you believe it. It's like a lot of people I've talked to who think that, or people that you hear on television or blogs or whatever, podcasts, saying that William Shatner is a bad actor. And it's like, I think the opposite. I think he is an incredible actor who took an absurd, kind of a wild, out there kind of character like Captain Kirk, and he owned that character to the point where you love Captain Kirk.
Yeah.
right.
And to me, the way that Chris Hemsworth plays Thor is similar to the way Shatner played Kirk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense, where you
Yeah.
take a
I
character
see
that's
that.
hard to buy.
It's like they're in on the joke and they get it. And they're
Somewhat,
still
yeah.
getting into the character and allowing that humor to happen in an organic way. It's kind of
committed
hard to
the
explain.
idea of the character.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
it's
No, it's a
fascinating.
There's no moment when Chris Hemsworth is not Thor. You don't get the idea that he's winking or breaking
None
the
of
fourth
that.
wall, like
None
I'm
of that.
playing a funny weird character. He stays 100% Thor.
That's true. You know,
Well, it
speaking
looks
of
good.
Thor, I'd like to watch that one scene one more time.
That one scene.
Just that one. Just to be thoroughly, we'll just look at it here just to make sure. Just to make sure I understood the relevance of the scene, because it seems like it's kind of important.
I know, because Russell Crowe is so hot here. I know why the ladies really want to see.
I know.
this
I didn't
scene.
even recognize.
Flick too hard, damn it!
I like everybody
We
faints.
help them. Eventually.
flick too hard. Hard flick.
It's
And
Russell
see the way
Crowe. He
delivers
only can
that
flick.
line. That is a comedic line, but the way he delivers it, you believe that Thor
Super
is
angry.
upset with Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
He's not
flicking
even
too
like
hard.
embarrassed. He's just like, damn it.
Yeah, you flick too hard.
And he's talking to Russell Crowe, who of course would do that. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, Russell Crowe do anything subtly, it's not going to happen.
Right.
Well, it
This
looks like a
really
real.
fun movie.
It looks like a
Yeah.
perfect summer film.
It does.
Coming out July 8th, and gosh, that
Another
looks like-
winner in this long line of winners for
God, so
Marvel
many.
films. Like,
God, they're just
when are they going to make
killing
the
it.
crappy film? That
I think the crappiest was I mean, the one that everybody says was kind of a.
Oh, I can't
stinker
wait to
was,
hear this. You're going to get all this hate mail now. Go
I
ahead.
know. I
Lay it on
shouldn't
us.
say. No, this is what people are saying.
Let's ask
What is
people,
it?
what do you think the worst Marvel film is?
Eternals.
which wasn't
Haven't seen it
terrible.
yet. That's how
Wasn't
terrible it is.
terrible.
I haven't even watched it.
I enjoyed it.
Okay.
It wasn't. It didn't.
But is it
have
the worst?
I'm just saying, out of
may
all the
be
Marvel,
the worst, which
It's
is,
still up here. It's
which
just
is not saying bad.
the Marvel
about
films are
it.
here. So
I
it's
liked
here.
Eternals. I liked it, but I'm saying other people said, "Oh, that's the nadir."
Oh, now
of
it's the
Marvel
other
films.
people. Mark will say, I think the other people didn't like it.
I don't have any opinions of myself of my own.
I have no opinion on this worst Marvel
I'm just
film
a
that I just
funnel
said.
of a funnel of internet
I thought it was
knowledge.
fun, but you know what? The thing that it lacked was a presence, and I know I sound like a fanboy here, but it lacked the presence of someone like Chris Hemsworth or Robert Downey Jr. or any of you name the other actors in the Avengers. They all have this gravitas, you know. Even the secondary Avengers, you know, the Don Cheadle. I mean, who's a better actor than that guy?
Yeah,
you get these incredible actors, these presences. You know, and then you have these characters that come to life in the film, like the Black Panther and the Black Widow and all these people, the Falcon, all these characters that you believe. And I think the Eternals, the actors in the Eternals and the casting wasn't quite up to it.
not great. Didn't have a center.
You know, I hate to say that about these actors who are all really good, but they just didn't bring. They didn't have They didn't have that larger than life presence to them.
You do. You have to have a Ryan Reynolds or Chris Hemsworth or, even Gal Gadot. I mean, you got to have somebody who's going to really hold the screen, be very super dynamic,
Right.
But anyway, that looks super fun. I'm going to watch it a few more times. And because, I think I missed some of the plot points. I'm going to make sure I'm clear.
I wonder if they're going to keep that little digital blur over his butt in the actual film.
I hope not.
Oh, they won't.
Even though the blur makes it kind of funny, but
Yeah,
they can't do that. I mean, it seems like there's a new era of graphic male nudity happening because I watched New Kids in the Hall. So many butts, so many penises. It's crazy.
Wow, weird.
I watched The Minx. Assaulted by that
Oh,
show.
yeah.
So many.
Yeah.
It's like, what is happening? Like every show I'm watching. So they can certainly show Chris Hemsworth's butt.
Yeah.
Well,
I
think
think
the only place
PG-13
that's an
though.
issue is America. You know,
well,
you go to Europe and butts are everywhere.
Right, exactly. But can't get
Toothpaste commercial.
It's devolving right now. I'm sorry. I brought that on myself talking about the blur. Here we are.
Yeah.
Well, it looks
in case
fun.
you guys are wondering, The Minx and Kids in the Hall. There you go.
Yeah. And we didn't mention this earlier, but I will mention it now. Don't forget to do that. Comment.
Don't forget.
Like. We appreciate if you do.
Right.
And thanks for watching, everybody.
Bye.
Thor coming soon.
Thor.
Bye.